All right, hey everybody, we'll get started in just another minute or so. Stay tuned. All right, I think we're good to go here. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Glad you could be here. Just kind of getting all these different windows arranged so that we can see each other. All right, and that should be there. Just remove that one. Boom, and we are good to go. All right. So, anyways, thanks for tuning in today. I wasn't going to do a stream today, but I have a little bit of time, and so thought we'd get started with lesson 2 here. So please be sure to leave your comments, in the chat, and I'll answer any questions that I can. All right. So let's see. And we just got to put something in there. All right, cool. We are ready to go. All right, so the first thing, the sound is on, but very low. All right, let me just check that here. All right, that's interesting. Yeah, I got a good signal here. Just make sure you check your computer. If you don't, if it doesn't improve, just let me know. Can anybody else chime in? Is the microphone a little too low? All right, hopefully that helps a little bit. I'll be sure to sit nice and close. In any event, here we go. Let's jump in. I'm just going to move this over a touch so I can see that. Good. All right. So what we're going to do, we have about an hour before I have to split, and so the goal for today is you should be able to leave here saying I can actually read Hebrew phrases now. Okay. So some of you are saying it's okay for you. Some of you are saying it's low. Just check your volume on the computer because this is telling me it's coming through loud and clear. I'll make a little adjustment here. Yeah, I have it on the same settings that I had on yesterday. You have it on max volume. Okay, interesting. Well, let's crank it up a little. All right, hopefully this helps. Maybe that's a little bit better. Yeah, I apologize for that. It's funny, I didn't change anything from yesterday, but anyways. All right, we'll do our best today. So all right, so I want you, being able to, even if you can't read the Hebrew characters, because some of you might not have learned the Hebrew alphabet yet, you can speak Hebrew. So we should probably change that in our document. We're going to say, I can speak, even if you can't read it, I can speak Hebrew phrases now, and that's going to be our goal. All right. Hey, Julia, thanks for joining us there. All right. And yeah, again, let me know if the microphone's too low, if there's any crackling noises. I don't want to crank it up too high, but here we go. So, all right. So we already know that Hebrew reads right to left. We talked about that yesterday. And if you haven't seen that, you can, if you go on to the live section in YouTube, in my YouTube channel, you will see the recording for that there. Okay, so so reads right to left. Okay, and the letters indicate sounds, not mysterious symbols. Okay, now there is, you know, in in certain branches of Judaism, and even you see this in Christianity as well, a mystical view of Hebrew letters. We don't get into that. We treat them as letters that are intended to communicate sounds, and the sounds are put together to communicate words. And so that's what we're doing here. Okay. All right. And then don't worry about knowing everything to read meaningfully. Um, you know, there are, I teach high school at a private school, and there are words that some of the young people encounter that they don't know, but they can still understand what a writer is saying or what I'm saying when I'm lecturing, right? Because we're always getting introduced to new words. We figure them out contextually. Okay. All right. So let's start with a review, and let's see. I have to, I just want to do something here. It looks like we're got to stretch this out maybe a bit. Sorry, I know we're just going to do something up here really quickly just because the window capture is, whoop, that's not what I wanted. Here we go. Okay, so I'm just going to move that. That's a little better there. Okay, so now you should be able to see everything better. Okay, so words from yesterday. So we had the word shalom, and in the the second column, without the nikud, without the vowel signs, we have the letters shin, lamed, vav. Jank, thank you very much. I will insert the sarcasm there. All right. All right, very good. So shin, lamed, vav, and mem. All right, and that is shalom. We said the vav originally was a W, and for that reason, it came to be used as the vowel indicator for the O and U sounds, and that's why shalom. And we said that corresponds to the Arabic word salam, salam. Okay, so it means peace, it means hello, and goodbye. All right. And remember, when you're learning these words, when you're practicing them, do little things like this, shalom, to wave, just to remember, or if you want to flash a peace sign or something. All right. Sefer, sefer. Okay. Samich, pe, resh. The letter pe makes sometimes a P sound, sometimes an F sound. Sefer. And in modern Hebrew, remember, we're focusing on modern Hebrew for now, and that means book. Okay, we said in biblical Hebrew it's going to mean scroll, but yeah, for modern Hebrew, which is what we're focusing on for the first part of this course, it means book. Next, we have bayit, bet yud tav, bet yud tav. And just a side note with regard to Jenk's comment there, I am going to be doing a series on Bible code. And that, it's probably going to take me a few weeks to do it, but I bought a book on Bible code just because I was so curious about it. I am not a believer in Bible code, but I still want to have a video on it just because I want people to understand why Bible code actually has no foundation. But that's for another time. Okay, so bayit, Beit Yud Tav means house, bayit. Okay, and we said that a lot of synagogues, their name is Beit whatever, Beit Israel, Beit Shalom. There's just a lot of them. It means house of, Beit, and it's the same as the word bayit. Okay, then we have tov, and notice that the vav, or the archaic W, is being used for the O vowel again. Tov, we saw that in shalom. Okay, so we're becoming familiar with that. And notice here that the beit in bayit makes a B sound, but in tov it makes a V sound. Spanish is a bit of an analogy here, right? Where, you will hear beber, or, I even have to think sometimes because I go back and forth between pronunciations, but bebiendo, okay, or maybe take the word vivir. Vivir, you will hear people say vivir, more of a B sound, vivir, okay? And so it's the same sort of thing, All right, so tov means good. Then we have ze, which we said is the masculine singular demonstrative, meaning this, ze, ze. Okay. And we scroll down here, and we'll look at some review sentences here. So this is, I just want to kind of clean this up. You know, this is all experimental there. There we go. All right, so if we wanted to say this is a book, we said yesterday that we can say ze sefer, ze sefer, ze sefer. And ze means this, and we use the masculine form this because sefer is, according to Hebrew grammar, considered a masculine singular noun. So they have to agree. We call this grammatical agreement. Masculine singular demonstrative with a masculine singular noun. Ze sefer, this is a book. And notice that is a, we don't have a word for those, okay? Literally, the words that we see here are this book. But because of the rules of Hebrew grammar and word order and sentence structure and so on and so forth, this is a book. That's how it needs to be read, okay? Same thing is true with the next sentence, ze bayit. Bayit is a masculine singular noun. And so the word for this that we have to use with it is ze, the masculine singular demonstrative pronoun. And in the same way that there's no word for is and there's no word for in the sentence, they're just implied. Ze bayit means this is a house, okay? Ze bayit, ze sefer, okay? And maybe try reading, you know, with the with the unvocalized and compare it with the vocalized, but see how you do with that. All right, we got a comment from Fu Manchu. Glad you're here with us today, by the way. Sometimes do marker, sometimes other things. Can you just clarify in that comment? I'm just not entirely sure what you mean by that, so I just want to make sure I answer your question fully. If you could just offer some clarification to me there, that'd be great. All right. Let's see, how are we doing here? All right. And next, we've got the book is good. So we were just introduced a little bit yesterday to the definite article. And so this sentence is ha-sefer tov. Ha-sefer tov. Okay, so right down here. Ha-sefer tov. Okay, now, ha is the definite article. Now, in Hebrew, the he, whoops, sorry, let me try that again. The he with the a vowel under it, I'm just going to highlight that for you. The he with the a vowel, this is a short a vowel under it. We call it patach. And the dot in the following letter, which doubles the samech. It doubles that letter. So properly speaking, it would be ha-sefer. But in modern Hebrew, we don't pronounce that doubling letter anymore. And so ha-sefer tov, this means the book is good. It does not mean the good book. It means the book is good. The book, the book, good, okay? We have a masculine singular form of the adjective, tov, okay? Because sefer is a masculine singular noun, but it's got the definite article on it, so the book is good, okay? The book is good. All right, let's press on here. So let's talk in more detail about the definite article and how that forms, okay? So we've already said before that sefer means noun. Means noun. What am I talking about? Sefer means book in modern Hebrew. It's got the long E vowel with the two dots. Whoops, sorry, you know what? My mug is in the way, and I just realized that. I apologize there. Let me go over here and just move this video capture. We really do not need to see me so much, so let's just shrink that a little bit. All right, there we go. Let's get me out of here. Okay, I'm not necessary here. All right, so that should be better now. All right, so sefer, right? The two dots with is the long E vowel like in obey, and the three dots is I almost called it epsilon from Greek, but segol, meaning it's the short E vowel like in nest, okay? sefer. When we transliterate it, oftentimes we represent both of these with an E, even though there's a slightly different pronunciation sometimes. Okay. And that's going to mean a book, or it could just mean book on its own, right? So book or a book. Okay, book or a book. And context is what would tell us whether it is a book or just book. Okay. If we want to say the book, on the other hand, we have to put the definite article. And that, as we saw above, is ha. Okay. All right. And when we're writing without vowels, it's just going to be the letter he at the beginning. Okay. So hasefer. That means the book. Hasefer, the book. So now we have in the toward the bottom here, we have bayit, which means house. Okay, bayit. Or it can mean a house, right? We said we should really, the way to properly do this. I got to keep updating this as we go. Okay. I find, I see things more clearly as I'm talking through it with other people. It's just how I learn. If we want to say the house, though, habayit, the house. All right, so let me pause here for a minute. Any questions, any comments? Is this making sense? I'll just give you a minute here to chime in. Hopefully this isn't a terrifying approach to Hebrew. And again, if you're not comfortable with the Hebrew characters, that's okay. It's all right to learn in transliteration, because we said that the way we learn our first language is really through, through hearing and repeating, Okay. All right. And it looks like we don't have any questions coming through. All right. Give you another second, just because I know we have a little bit of a delay here between what's happening live. Doesn't look like the camera, the quality is all that clear. That's disappointing. Well, when we get more, supers and all that, notice that you can, if you want, we're trying to hit a goal of five $2 supers today. If you're willing to, that's great. If you can't, no problem too. But yeah, we definitely want to get a new camera for this this broadcast. We're running on a shoestring budget here for the time being. All right, let's go on. I don't see any questions, so let's press on. All right, so new adjectives here. So let's see. Oh man, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. So Firefly Packs there. Thank you so much, and really appreciate your supporting the channel. It means an awful lot. That support really helps me to keep doing what I'm doing, and hopefully before long we're going to have that new camera. Thanks to you and others like you. That's awesome. All right, so the next adjective is gadol, and gadol means big. And so Gimel, Dalet, Vav, Lamed. Gimel, Dalet, Vav, Lamed. Okay, and I'm just checking the screen here. Just want to make sure you guys can see everything. All right. Okay. So Gadol means big. Okay. Sometimes it's translated in the Bible as great, like if you want to say great is the Lord, Gadol. Okay. But here we're just going to go with big because we're trying to keep things simple for the time being. Okay. So Gadol means big and Katan means small. Now, just a quick word here about Katan. So the letters with which this word is spelled is Kuf, Tet, Nun, and that's the final Nun. Kuf, Tet, final Nun. Sometimes that first letter Kuf is represented in transliteration with a Q. A Q. The reason for that, to be clear, it never makes the qua sound like in English. Okay, qua. It's more like French. A word like what? My French is terrible, but magnifique, I think would have QUE at the end, if I'm not mistaken. For those of you who know French, please correct me. It's been a long time since I've really dealt with French. But the kuf originally, and we know this from Arabic, would have been pronounced something like qa, qa. And it's a glottal. You know, I told you guys yesterday when I'm learning a new language, I like to hold my throat and my mouth so I can feel it. But oh, you're kind of pulling your tongue. Well, you can see this side, pulling your tongue back, oh, and restricting your throat a little bit. In modern Hebrew, it really sounds just like a K. It's lost that glottal sound that is still there in Arabic. And so some people will transliterate it katan with a Q. Some people will transliterate it katan with a K. It doesn't matter what you use, but the modern Israeli pronunciation is going to be katan with just a regular K. Okay, and then tet. Sometimes you'll see T with a dot. Originally, that would have been a different sound too, but we're not going to get into that today. So gadol is big, katan is small. Gadol, katan, gadol, katan. Now, just an oral quiz. Can you think off the top of your head, what is the word for book? What is the word for book? We were just learning that above. I'm not going to put it on the screen because I want you to try to recall it. How do we say book? Okay, I'll give you another couple seconds. And it is sefer, sefer, sefer. So big book, how would we say that? Sefer gadol. Sefer gadol. Okay. And small book then would be sefer katan. Sefer katan. Okay. So we're starting to form phrases with familiar words. Okay. All right. Let's do a couple more. All right. Beautiful. Now, this we have to be careful with because in English we think of beautiful as a feminine word. Okay. The word beautiful will be in a masculine form when it's referring to a noun that is grammatically masculine. Okay? Let me say that again. The word yafeh, the adjective yafeh, will appear in a masculine form when it is referring to a masculine noun. So gadol is a masculine singular form of the adjective. We're not going to learn this today, but I'm just going to tell you that if you ever need to put it in the feminine, which you will plenty of times, it will be gdolah, gdolah. Katan, katana. Yafeh would become yafa with an A. But when it's referring to something that is masculine, the adjective has to be yafeh. That's a masculine singular form. Let me pause for a second. We have a comment from, or a question from Firefly Pax here. Is there a simple way to tell if the vav is being used as a vowel or a V consonant, if it's being used consonantally? Yeah, so there's a couple ways to answer this question. So the first thing is, if we are dealing with nikud, okay, so let's take a word like gadol here, and I'm just going to highlight it, and and there again, my mug is in the way. All right, hold on. I got to get myself out of here. Bear with me, bear with me. Video capture. Let's get dear old Dr. Dost out of here. That's better. Okay. So, yeah, and I just want to, you know what, let me do this other window capture. I just want to make the, oops, not that one. Let's make the chat just a little bigger so you guys hopefully can see it better. There we go. All right, hopefully that's better. All right. All right. So in the word gadol, so here we're working with nikud. Okay. The previous letter, dalet, does not have a vowel sign. For that reason, the vav that follows it must be a vowel. Okay. Because the dalet does not have its own vowel sign, the vav must be functioning as a vowel. Okay. Yeah, so that's kind of how that works. Now, when you're reading unvocalized text like this, you would say, well, okay, how do I know if there's a vowel or not? And the answer is, it's because you've memorized the vocabulary. That's really the only way. Okay, so this is really just a guide to reading. Okay, and it's not much different than, let me just, you know, Well, that's not what I meant to do. Hold on. Let me just find, I'm going to go up here. Whoops, not teaching. That's not what I meant. Okay, there we go. Okay, although that is instructive. Okay, so if you see this sentence, right, someone typed the answer. What does that mean? What does that sentence actually mean there? There's no vowels. I'll just give you a second to put that up. Come up with an answer, put it in the chat. Although I probably shouldn't wait too long because I know some of you are at work right now and are only listening in. So I'll give another second here. But yeah, if we want to read this contextually, because we identify this, like what are the options, right? The teacher is teaching Hebrew. Now, I don't know if you noticed the autocorrect before, but this was autocorrected to the word touching. Now, conceivably, it could be touching, but the teacher is touching Hebrew makes absolutely no sense. And so, what our minds do is that when we're reading, even when there is more than one possibility for how to interpret it, and this is kind of a silly one, our brains say, wait a second, if we're talking about Hebrew, we teach Hebrew, we don't touch Hebrew. And that's how we figure that sort of thing out. So Firefly, does that make sense? Does that help a little bit? All right, hopefully it does. All right, so we've got gadol, katan, yafeh, and then me'od is an adverb meaning very. Okay, this is also a biblical word. All these words are biblical words. Okay, so me'od means very. So if you want to say very beautiful, yafeh me'od. Very small, katan me'od. Okay, very big, gadol me'od. Okay, and Firefly, yeah, I get what you're saying. It'll come naturally. It's absolutely true. It comes naturally with exposure to the language. You're spot on with that. And I just noticed that you said you started Hebrew 2 weeks ago, so this is great. Glad to have you as part of the community here. All right, so let's do some reading practice now. The book is good. The book is good. HaSefer Tov. Okay, pretty straightforward. Whoops, no period there. Got to correct my document as I go. Okay. HaSefer Tov. Okay. In especially in the Bible, sometimes you'll see the word order reversed where you'll have the adjective first. It can be fluid. The way we know that is has to be supplied is because they disagree in terms of definiteness. Okay, I want to take a minute to explain this. These two words, sefer and tov, agree. They agree, we would say, in terms of gender. They are both masculine. They agree in terms of gender. They agree in terms of number. They agree in terms of number. And by number, for now, we're just going to call it singular and plural. It's a little more complicated in Hebrew, but for now, let's just stick with singular and plural. Okay. So they agree in terms of gender. They're both masculine. They agree in terms of number. They're both singular, but they disagree, we would say, in terms of definiteness. Sefer is definite. It has the definite article. Tov is indefinite. It does not have the definite article. And for that reason, because of the disagreement in definiteness, we have to supply the word is. Okay? And that's just how it goes in Hebrew. HaSefer Tov. But again, we don't have to learn the rules. If we just learn the sentences and practice them, they become paradigms or models, and we can just start plugging in other words. And lo and behold, we're speaking Hebrew grammatically correct, even if we don't know why. Okay? All right, next. The house is big. Habayit gadol. Habayit gadol. And you can read the Hebrew if you want, with vowels, without vowels, just in transliteration, doesn't matter. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. Okay, habayit, the house, gadol, big. The house is big. So we would say here again, bayit and gadol agree in terms of definiteness. I'm sorry, wrong. Psh, erase that. Bayit and Gadol agree in terms of gender. They're both masculine. I was just testing you to see if you caught that. They agree in terms of gender. They agree in terms of number because they're both singular, masculine, singular, but they disagree in terms of definiteness. One has the definite article, the other does not. The house is big. The book is beautiful. HaSefer Yafeh. Now, remember we said Yafeh is the masculine singular form of beautiful, okay? And why do we use the masculine form? Because Sefer, there you go. Because Sefer in Hebrew is masculine. HaSefer Yafeh. So Sefer and Yafeh, and I know this is a lot of repetition, but there's a, a parable in Arabic, or not a parable, a saying or a proverb in Arabic that my Hebrew teacher taught me, I think during my first Hebrew class, some 20, what would it be, 20, gee whiz, 26 years ago? Hard to believe. And don't take this as an insult. I'm sharing it because he said it to me in my class, okay? But the Arabic proverb is التكرار بعلم الحمار. التكرار بعلم الحمار, which means repetition teaches the donkey. Okay? And had it not been so amusing, we might have been insulted when he said it. But the reality is, we learn by repetition. This is how people learn their first language. So why would we expect it to be any different for a second or third or fourth language? Okay? HaSefer Yafeh. So Sefer and Yafeh agree in terms of, say it with me, gender. They agree in terms of number. And they disagree in terms of definiteness. One is definite, the other is not. HaSefer Yafeh. Okay? Now, the book is good would be HaSefer Tov. If we want to say the book is very good, HaSefer Tov Meod. HaSefer Tov Meod. And Meod will not be inflected for gender. Meod, it's an adverb, so no gender. Okay? HaSefer Tov Meod. Okay? Notice when you write without vowels, okay? A lot of times you'll put the vav in, but sometimes when you write with vowels, you don't need the vav. Okay? We'll talk more about that some other time, okay? Is the differences in spelling. All right, cool. So you guys are doing it. You're reading Hebrew. So let's draw some connections to the Bible now. Okay. And just for those of you who've just joined our broadcast, we're trying to get 5 supers today for $2 just to help build up a little funds so we can replace this this awful camera and get a better quality for the live stream here. So I appreciate everybody's support. Thank you so much for considering helping out the channel. And be sure to check out my my Patreon page, which has the unabridged version of all of my videos. That's where they all end up eventually. And for paying subscribers there, for something that's way less than the cost of seminary education, I think there's got to be at least 150, if not 200 videos now on my Patreon page. Hebrew, Arabic, Greek, exposition of the biblical text. For those of you who are really interested in understanding the Hebrew scriptures, there's a playlist on my Patreon page that I think is called Hebrew Bible Textual Analysis. And there's videos on Isaiah and Ecclesiastes and some on Genesis and a little bit on Exodus. And so little bits from a whole bunch of different books of the Bible. And I just keep adding to it. We've got Jonah, a little bit of Esther, I think, so on and so forth. So thanks for your support. Really appreciate it. Okay. So how do we say very good? We said it was tov me'od. Okay. And in the last video, we looked at that's not the window I want. We were looking at the okay, and I'm just gonna open this up a little bit. So we've got our input capture. Good. Just want to make sure everything's cool here. Media source, accordance. There we go. So let's, oh, why is this not working? Bear with me 1 second. Okay, and we're just going to do that. Sorry, I could fix it. But all right, here we go. Good. So there we are. So Bereshit, right? This is the first word. We noticed, let's see, what did we talk about yesterday? I just have to think for a minute. Yeah, we talked about the letter hey and the definite article. We identified those here. So I highlighted a bunch of instances of the definite article in Genesis 1. So even though there's a lot on this page that if you're just starting out Hebrew, you don't understand, that's okay, because there is something that you do understand, and we choose to focus on the positive here. Okay, so we've got the definite article on the word hashamayim, which means heaven. We've got the definite article on haaretz, which means the land or the earth. We've got the definite article on the haaretz, and the land, okay? All right, we've got the definite article on hamayim, okay? We've also spent some time talking about the O vowel today, right? That the letter Vav, right there. Let me, I don't know, I should probably get some new colors to use to mix it up a little. Okay, so the word or that I just highlighted here, okay? You can see the Vav and it's got the dot over it. Well, that makes it a long O. Or we see the word or again, which means light, okay? And then we see it in Genesis 1:4 here. Ha, or, the light. So up here we had light, or. Here we have ha, or, the light. And so this is, we're starting to see instances of an absolute form of the adjective, or of the noun, I mean to say. The one without the definite article and one with the definite article. Or, ha-or, light, the light, okay? And then notice how the light is described. Tov, ha-or ki tov, the light that it is good, tov. And we see that has the vav with the cholim above it, the o dot, okay? And we just keep seeing the same word over and over again. And let's just highlight everything. We'll try to keep this going. I'll try to remember to save it. So all the things that we start to recognize. Here's another good word for us, right? Yom. That also has that O vowel. Yom. Yud, Vav, Mem. Okay? Yud doesn't have its own consonant. So the Vav is a dot, or the Vav is a vowel. Yom. Yom. Okay? All right, we also saw the word or again there. A lot of repetition in Genesis 1. This is great, right? We got yom again, okay? There we go. Scroll down. Let's see what else we can figure out. See if you identify anything else that we've seen. Why does eretz go to aretz when the definite article is attached? Excellent, excellent, excellent. This is actually a very unique word in Hebrew in that regard. Generally speaking, that does not happen. So a word like eretz, okay, and I'm going to scroll up just so those who want can look at it. Sorry if I'm making you dizzy with this. Okay, notice that the word is eretz in its absolute form, but when we put the definite article before it, it becomes haaretz, and that's a form of assimilation, but it's very unusual in Hebrew for that to happen, okay? So ha'eret, or eretz becomes haaretz, okay? Other words like eretz, like melech, all right. Yom tov, litot, Julia. All right. So a word like melech, it has that double E vowel, melech. When you add the article, it stays hamelech. It doesn't become hamalech, okay? Not under normal circumstances anyway. So eretz is special in that regard, Jank. Yeah. Okay. So we're starting to see a lot of words with which we're familiar here. Let's scroll down a little more in the biblical text. Okay, and just find some stuff that you might recognize. Oh, wait a second. We've got the word for yes. One of our words yesterday was ken. Now here it lacks the dot, so it's pronounced chen in this, in this instance. But in modern Hebrew, that means yes. But in biblical Hebrew, you remember what I told you? It means so. But this is an instance where we've got a word that is used both in modern Hebrew and in biblical Hebrew. It's just that it has a different primary meaning in each one. But yeah, that was our word yes from yesterday. Vayichen, and it was so. Okay, it was so. Okay, there we've got the word yom again. Whoop, let's try to fix that. Okay. You guys are actually reading the Bible. I know you're not reading it completely yet, but you are still reading the Bible. Okay, that's awesome. All right. Let's see. Yeah, we've got Vayichen again, which means so. Yeah. All right. And, if you go through the text here, you're going to see the word tov repeating. Okay. That happens. Yeah, here's eretz, the word land, without the definite article. And notice it's not aretz, it's eretz. Yeah. All right. But you get the idea. Right. There we've got haaretz again. Haaretz. Okay. And so on and so forth. But you guys are getting the hang of it. There it is. Chen keeps repeating. That's why Genesis 1's a great text to read for starters. So much repetition. So much repetition. Okay. All right. We've got another instance of Tov there. So if I just scroll, let's just scroll to the top of the chapter. And just as we scroll down verse by verse here, look at all the things that we're starting to recognize in the biblical text. No, we don't know everything, but we know something. We know more today than we knew yesterday, right? Which is more than we knew the day before. Okay. And so little by little, day by day, as we do this, you're going to become more and more familiar with the biblical text. Okay. While also learning to speak modern Hebrew at the same time. All right, let me switch out. Let's go back to our original Google Doc there. So Tov Me'od, we encounter that if we switch back for a minute to Genesis. And God is always calling things good throughout there. Ki Tov, Elohim, Vaya Elohim Ki Tov. God saw that it was good. God saw that it was good. But as we scroll through the text here, right? And you see Tov again here in 21, right? Vayar Elohim ki Tov, and God saw that it was good, right? God saw that it was good. Okay. Ooh, there's our word yom again for day. We'll just highlight that. That's the word for day. Okay. We got the word chen again, which modern Hebrew means yes, and biblical Hebrew means so, right? And we have Tov one more time there. So Tov just keeps repeating. And now we're dealing with the creation of humanity. There's haaretz. Let's highlight that. Okay, we got that a couple more times. You see how often haaretz occurs, which means the land or the earth. It's also the name of Israel's, leading newspaper. Okay, so the land, right? And so as we scroll through, we're starting to see a lot of words that we know. We have haaretz again. Okay. Right. Lots of familiar, right? Haaretz. And this is just going to it's just so cool as we go day by day, where you're going to get to see all these words that we're getting to know. Vayichen, we have it again. Okay. You guys are learning to read Hebrew here. And oh, wait a second. We have Tov, but now it occurs with Me'od. And it says here, Vaya Elohim, and God saw et kol asher asa, all that he had made. Okay, all that he had made. Vaya Elohim et kol asher asa, vehene, and behold, Tov Me'od. It was not good, it was very good. Vehene, Tov Me'od. Okay, so maybe this can be our first phrase or our first sentence from the Bible that you memorize, perhaps, if you want to. Vehene Tov Me'od, and behold, It was very good. It was is implied. Tov meod, we already know that. Vehine tov meod, and behold, it was very good. Okay. Any other questions here? We've covered a lot of ground today. I'm really proud of everybody for tuning in and sticking with this. Doing a really a fantastic job. I gotta while I'm waiting for questions here. I'm just going to flip the what am I looking for here? Is that the one I want? Yep, there we go. All right, so feel free to leave your questions. And again, we're trying to finish out that goal for supers. We've got 1 out of 5. We're looking to see if we can get 5, and I'll do a, as always, commit to doing a live Q&A session, with those who are supporting the channel, because I really, really, really appreciate your support here. And don't forget to check out the Patreon page, where you gain access to all of my videos, the whole library. All right, so and Yom Tov, right, Julia? When you put that, I don't know if you're still with us, but when you said Yom Tov, I was thinking you were saying goodbye, because that is how we do it. But yes, Yom and Tov are both masculine and singular. Now, an adjective, Yom Tov, that just went over my head. Firefly Pax, do I have a streaming schedule? Not yet. What I'm doing right now is I just keep streaming and streaming and streaming, and I'm getting a sense for, how many people are really committed to being here. And then I think what I'll start to do is take a poll of, people who are highly committed, to see when they would like for me to do the live streams. Right now, my schedule is a little funny because I teach school and my schedule's not the same every day. And being a pastor, I have, the responsibilities from day to day change. But as things lighten up for me after February 28th, because I coach basketball in the afternoons. That's why I have to leave here in about 10 minutes. And I know this doesn't exactly telegraph basketball here, but I am a thirds basketball coach. But once that happens, my afternoons become free. And I will probably, I'm kind of thinking of maybe doing like a 4:00 p.m. Weekday stream schedule. I'm wondering if that works for the people who would be really committed, because for the rest of, until September, I would be able to do that on a consistent basis. So anyways, just, let me know. Okay, no other comments for now, so let's just wrap up here. And here's the phrase, V'hinei tov meod, and behold, we would translate, it was very good, okay? So what are we doing now? You are reading unpointed Hebrew. You might not be doing it perfectly, but we're not striving for perfection yet. This is just an introduction. The bottom line is you are reading unvocalized Hebrew. Fu Manchu, I live near New York, so I'm in the Eastern time zone. Yep. All right. We're recognizing the definite article with the letter Hey. Descriptive phrases, we're learning to use adjectives. We've learned inductively that adjectives generally come after the noun they modify. All right. And you have your first biblical sentence to memorize if you so choose. V'hinei tov meod. V'hinei tov meod. Okay. All right, so that is the end of my my notes for today. What I planned on getting through, so it's probably a good time to stop. I think in our next live stream, I'll definitely do one tomorrow. Again, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. I'll do one tomorrow because I have almost the whole day free. So for those of you who are really eager to spend some time, shoot me an email if you want. I'm more likely to get it. I'll just put it in the chat here. If people start spam, if there, some people out there who spam, I know not you guys, but if other people get a hold of it and they start spamming me, I can just block them on, whatever. But shoot me an email, and I will have a look at what times work for you guys, and I will do my best to accommodate. So, all right. Well, I don't see any other questions here. So I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. And, again, check out the Patreon page. Appreciate those who become paid subscribers there. For $12 a month, you get access to all of my videos on every language that we deal with, biblical exegesis, the whole bit. And it's just an ever-growing library there. It's when I went to seminary, I mean, I think the discounted price was like $1,500 a course per semester. So it, basically came out to $300 to $400 per month. And so I'm trying to do this for $12 a month for people. The other thing I'm also trying to do or thinking about doing is actually doing a not for credit, an unaccredited seminary where people can earn certificates for very inexpensively priced courses. I have so many scholars in my network from my years as a graduate school professor and my time in biblical scholarship that I would love to hear your feedback about whether that's a need for people in your circles and whether you'd want to see it in person. I'm thinking of doing live courses here in Connecticut, but also doing a lot of online live courses as well. So would love your feedback on that. Just something that a few of my friends and I are thinking about. All right, that does it for today. I will see everybody next time. Thank you so much for your interest and your support, and we'll talk real soon. All right, bye-bye, everybody. Shalom, lihitrot.